welcome to Coach's Corner 2006. Hope everyone had a great holiday. I'm your host, Justin Egley, and today we have Coach Scott with us. We have Steve Brink, and along with Coach Ondako, and our player interview is actually going to be Steve Brink. We're going to have him talk a little bit about the pack and who he thinks is going to be good this year, who's going to make it in the final tournament. But right now we have Coach Scott with us. Coach, thanks for being along with us today. Now, it's almost been about 50 days since our last show. Since then, we've had two holidays, so happy belated Christmas, Merry Christmas, and happy belated New Year's to you. Since then, you've also had 12 games. You've gone 4-8 for those games. Got your first game before Christmas. Nice little Christmas present for you there. Your second one right before New Year's. So got the holiday celebrated, right? Now, your team. What does your team do? Anything special for the holidays at all? I mean, I know you get a little bit of a break, but you get to spend time at all with your team, or?
They got to go home for 5 days over the break, and then we came back. And the way our schedule went, they really didn't get much break over New Year's and that. But they're here over break. They hang out, they do their thing. We practice, play games, and it's a fun time.
And no one's around on campus, so you kind of
roll the campus. Parking is great. Don't worry about cars flying in and out of here. So.
Now, you said you had the 5 days off and not too other much break than that, but it gives a little bit of chance for your team to get a little healthier. We know Therese missed about 5 games or so during the break. She's finally back. Maria Joseph, she got hurt, but there's news that she might return. Could you maybe tell us a little bit more about that?
That is correct. She had her first week of practice. She jumped into practice last week. Had a good week of practice. The only thing conditioning-wise with her, coming back, she hasn't done anything since, the beginning of the year. We're talking September, so conditioning-wise. But she had a good week, and I'm going to throw in here in some games to get to get her back into it, So I'm looking forward to that.
So she'll definitely be back probably before the end of the year?
Yeah, I'm looking to use her actually on Saturday more, so she hasn't been in a game yet, but I wanted her to get some practice first, and then so. All
right. Well, one person who's been on your team who also was injured now finally back to 100% health, Desiree Sterling. She had tied her career high, I believe it was 26 points against Thomas More just this past week, last Saturday. She's been on fire. She's led the team out of the past 5 games and scoring all of them double figures. Tell me maybe a little bit about her and why she maybe be on fire so much so recently.
I think with the process, she has her confidence back. When she's mentally focused and wants to play, no one could stop her, and she could change the momentum of the game just like that. And she has come in really wanting to step up her game, and it has shown.
Good. Well, last night you played up at Waynesburg. I was listening to it on the radio. I didn't get to make the travel, but I noticed from the game, your whole sideline, everyone on the bench. It seems like all your players are on the court all at the same time, because I was listening to the announcers. I could barely hear them when the shot clock started ticking down past 10. All the ladies started screaming 10, 9, 8. And is that for your team, and what maybe started all that? Because you really don't hear other teams do that very much.
No, and that's one thing they actually yell at them if they don't do that. But it's just part of our whole focus is communication, and us communicating on the bench and communicating on the floor. And that's one thing. If offensively shot clock goes down, we have a shot clock play that we run, so when they hear the shot clock, them count on the bench, then they realize, oh, okay, that we're going to set up into our shot clock play. So it helps them on the floor as much as, keeps people on the bench involved in the game and know what's going on too. So.
Definitely a good strategy on your part. But let's talk about the newest member in the pack, Thomas More. Played them Saturday or earlier this week. They were leading the pack, and they just got off an upset loss against Waynesburg. Then you guys had the chance to play them. But you really gave them a run for their money, for as good as they're doing this year. Thomas More kept playing, getting a player open right underneath the basket, and that seemed to be one of their major success against you. What can you do to stop that from having wide open players underneath the basket?
We're gonna, next time we play them, we're obviously gonna try to do something different with that. With Thomas More, the thing with why they're so good is that in every position they have somebody who could score. So when they isolate somebody down in the paint, you can't say, okay, double down off of this girl, because then she'll leave her open, where in turn they could score even if we play off of them. So maybe next time we play them, we're going to take some risks, and then then let them shoot that outside shot, and we'll protect the paint. They got some big, physical, strong post players, and that's one thing that really affected us down there at the end of the crunch time. But I was pleased with our kids' effort. They played hard, and they fought with them.
Now, real quick, last question here for you. In your opinion, what do you think your team needs to do in order to start winning some more games this year? I
think the main thing that they need to show up for every game. I mean, they can't just show up for the W&Js and the Thomas More and get pumped up. They need to get pumped up for the Waynesburgs, for the Teals, for the Grove City, because right now all those games are just as important as knocking off maybe one of the top seeds. So in order for us to get to where we want to go, our goals, we need to be ready to play every game.
All right, good. Well, good luck with your game, upcoming game this Saturday. This Saturday, they will be up at Bethany. That game will start at 2 p.m., so good luck on that game, and thanks for being here, Coach.
Thanks.
We'll be right back right after this commercial break. We'll be back with Steve Brink's Pack Report.
Okay, girls, at 3 o'clock.
What is he looking at?
Oh, dude, it's so obvious. Captain Obvious has scored again.
Open your window, say something. Oh, he's really gonna down.
Hi. Hi.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Thank you. Honey, finish up. Come on, we gotta go.
Ew.
What's wrong?
Something's on my glass.
See. Oh, it's lipstick. Excuse me, ma'am. Could we just have a new glass, please? This one's dirty. Thank you.
Mom.
Honey, I don't want you to get sick. I don't know what's on that glass.
Oh, have me one too.
Hey, you want a Sofia?
Yeah.
There you go. There's some honey right here, too.
Picture yourself at Westminster College. Westminster offers an educational experience that is second to none. We've been exceeding students' expectations for 150 years. Westminster combines the prestige of a national liberal arts college with the personal attention you deserve. Westminster is a national leader in graduation rate performance and is the most affordable national liberal arts college in Pennsylvania. Visit Westminster's beautiful 300-acre campus to experience an ideal learning environment. Succeed at Westminster College.
Welcome back to Coach's Corner, everyone. I'm Steve Brink, and I'm here to bring you another edition of the Pack Report. We're going to start things off on the men's side this week, and if you take a look at the updated conference standings as of Monday, you'll find that the Bethany Bison are unbeaten and on top at 5-0. W&J is only one game out at 4-1, followed by Waynesburg and Grove City in a tie for third. Westminster's all alone at fourth at 2-3, and Thomas More and Teal round out the conference at 1-5 and 0-5, respectively. Moving right along, let's check out what happened around the PAC last week. On Monday, this is back on January 16th, Thomas Moore's R.K. Thurman scored 14 points and grabbed 12 boards, but it wasn't enough as the Saints shot just 28% from the field, falling to Grove City by a score of 66-57. Also on Monday, Waynesburg beat up on Teal, winning by 39 at home as 4 Yellow Jackets scored in double figures, with Bo Wilson leading the way with 16 points. And finally on Monday, the Bethany Bison survived a scare on the road as they were tied with Westminster with about 8 minutes to go. But that's when Bethany broke open the game and broke open the record books as they broke a 42-year-old school record for most points in a game, finishing with 140. Senior Matt Drehos also broke a 41-year-old school record for most points scored in a game as he finished with 49. W&J was the lone Pack school not in action last Monday. On Wednesday, however, W&J was back in action as the Presidents beat Westminster, winning by a score of 108-86. W&J dished out 31 assists in the win while shooting 58% from the field. Grove City's Sean Carr and had five of the Wolverines' 10 three-pointers to lead Grove City past Teal by a score of 81-65. Teal freshman James Beadle scored a game-high 20 points in the loss. Bethany was off last Wednesday, but Waynesburg was not. The Yellow Jackets beat Thomas More by 18 to record their second home Pack victory of the week. Bo Wilson again led Waynesburg, but this time he nearly doubled his point total from Monday, scoring a game-high 31. Saturday saw the Pack leading Bethany Bison back in action, and the Bison continued to roll right through the conference schedule as they knocked off Grove City at home by 34. Matt Drehos scored 23, but his brother Mike stole the show as Mike recorded 18 points but passed the 1,500 career point mark in the process. W&J's John Koch scored a career-high 38 points en route to an 83-71 road win at Teal. And finally on Saturday, Westminster got back on track as the Titans beat Thomas More. Mark DeMonico came off the bench and scored 29 as the Titans came within 1 point of breaking the single-game scoring record. Well, now it's time to acknowledge the men's PAC Player of the Week, and this week the award goes to Bethany's Matt Drehos, a senior forward from Wheeling, West Virginia. He averaged 36 points, 11 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks, including a career-high 49 points against Westminster on Monday, as he helped the Bethany Bison improve to 5-0 in PAC play. Now, real quick, we're going to take a look at the scoring leaders on the men's side, and these stats include up until last Saturday's games. PAC Player of the Week, Matt Drehos, leads the way by a very slim margin over Westminster's Mark DeMonico, and DeMonico's teammate, sophomore Craig Hannon, comes in third by an even slimmer margin over W&J's John Koch. And finally, Bethany's other Drehos, Mike, is in fifth with just over 18 points a game. On tap for this weekend on Saturday, Teal makes the long trip to Thomas More. Westminster heads south to take on Bethany, and W&J strolls down I-79 to battle PAC rival Waynesburg, and Grove City has the weekend off. Now switching over to the women's side, if you take a look at the conference standings as of Monday, you'll find the Thomas More Lady Saints still on top at 5-1, followed very closely by the Lady Presidents of W&J. Teal's in sole possession of third. Bethany and Grove City are tied for fourth at 2-3, and the Lady Titans and Lady Yellow Jackets are tied for sixth with 1-4 records. Now taking a look at what happened around the PAC last week on the women's side, the Lady Saints started off the week on a positive note as they beat Grove City at home by a score of 74-56. Brooke Warner and Amanda Link led Thomas More with 10 points each in the victory. Also on Monday, Teal got a huge road win as the Lady Tomcats beat Waynesburg 60-56 behind freshman Amber Bodrick's 28 points and 13 rebounds. Junior Nicole Valentino also recorded a double-double for Teal with 15 points and 11 boards. W&J was off on Monday, but the Lady Titans got their first PAC win of the season as they beat Bethany 65-55 in New Wilmington. Junior Desiree Sterling had a game-high 21 points, while fellow classmate Rachel Eaton scored a career-high 15 points in the win. Wednesday night saw the upset of the year as previously unbeaten Thomas More traveled to winless Waynesburg and lost by 4, 66-62. The Lady Yellow Jackets were on fire as they shot 12 of 20 from three-point range, including 6 threes from Candace Ironman and 5 threes from Katie Lewandowski. Ironman finished the game with 23 points, while Lewandowski finished with 19. The Lady Tomcats got their second road victory of the week on Wednesday night. Teal defeated Grove City by a score of 56-38 as they held the Lady Wolverines to just 18% shooting from the field. This was the first win for the Lady Tomcats in Grove City since 1994. And finally on Wednesday, we had the much-anticipated rematch of last year's PAC championship game between the Lady Presidents of W&J and the Lady Titans of Westminster. The Lady Titans kept it close for much of the first half, but W&J pulled away in the second behind Amanda Stanonik's 5 three-pointers. Lisa Olkowski finished the game with 19 points, passing the 1,800-point career mark for her career. And also on Saturday, W&J continued their winning ways as the Lady Presidents won at Teal 63-38. Lisa Olkowski recorded a double-double by scoring 15 points and grabbing 13 rebounds in the win. The Lady Saints of Thomas More went on the road and beat Westminster 74-68. The Lady Titans kept this game close as well. Desiree Sterling tied her career high of 26 points in the loss as Brooke Warner did a little bit of everything for Thomas More on Saturday, totaling 15 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, and 2 steals. And finally on Saturday, the Bethany Bison eked out a conference win at home against Grove City, winning by a score of 66-57. Senior Jenny Play scored 23 points in the win as she became the 14th player in Lady Bison history to pass the 1,000-point plateau for her career. And now it's time to acknowledge the Women's PAC Player of the Week, and this week the award goes to Teal freshman Amber Bodrick. The freshman forward from Cardinal Mooney High School in Boardman, Ohio, averaged 17 points and just over 9 rebounds while leading the Lady Tomcats to a 2-1 mark in conference play last week. Bodrick needs just 47 more points to break the freshman season scoring record of 384 points for a season. Now taking a quick look at the scoring leaders on the women's side, and no surprise here as W&J's Lisa Olkowski leads the way. Bethany's Jenny Place is in second, followed by Amber Bodrick of Teal. Katie Lewandowski of Waynesburg is in fourth, and Grove City's Rachel McCoy comes in fifth. This weekend, Westminster travels to Bethany. Teal is at Thomas More. Grove City is off, and W&J is at Waynesburg. That does it for this week's edition of the Pack Report. Now let's kick it back to our host, Justin Egley.
There's a better way to have fun with history. Visit americaslibrary.gov. Log on, play around, learn something.
The Lawrence County Humane Society believes in the safety of spaying and neutering your animals. Spaying and neutering can have many long-term benefits.
We at the Lawrence County Humane Society believe that all animals should be spayed or neutered. Many reasons why, but the biggest reason is that they will be a happier, healthier pet. Also, it alleviates the overpopulation problem.
Getting your animals spayed and neutered is one huge step in making sure that more animals are healthy and find loving homes.
I'm the best thing you ever had. Only thing I'm guilty of is giving you too much love, making you crazy, making you a rat, making me fall, making me suspect. Seem to think I'm playing her game. Don't you know the her? This is me.
There's a better way to have fun with history. Visit americaslibrary.gov. Log on, play around, learn something.
And welcome back to Coach's Corner. I'm here with Coach Larry Ondako. Coach, thanks for being on the show. Had some bad news since our last show. Your biggest player on your team had an injury and is out for the season, Steve Bielich. Could you tell us a little bit about more what happened and what's going on with him?
Yeah, he tore his ACL when we were down in Texas the second night, just about 5 minutes into the game, actually. And he's obviously out for the season now. He had surgery, I think it was last Wednesday, not even back to class yet. I think he'll start classes hopefully within the week coming up. So his recovery's going well, and hopefully he's going to be okay for next year. But it certainly was a big loss because, like you said, he was not only our biggest player. He for all he did, rebounding, shooting, defensively, he might have been our best player when it happened. Yeah. And with everything kind of geared around him, it really threw a wrench into everything, timing-wise. Also, being that we opened up pack play about 5 days after that.
That's actually kind of leads into my next question. He has been a big impact on your team, rebounding, defense, being underneath the hoop. Now, how has your game plan changed now that he's not in it?
Well, it not only had to change because he wasn't in it, but also in the same game, Ryan Ricketts, who came in and was doing a really good job, hurt his ankle. He was probably our second biggest guy, and he went out for about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And, as a freshman, he's just getting back into things now. So, we're right back kind of to where we were last year in terms of being really small. And, some of these teams have got some nice-sized kids. So, we're kind of just scrambling. And, I felt going into last night's game that we were pretty confident in how we wanted to play. And still are, but we just didn't play real well last night.
Now, how's the rest of your team looking when it comes to injury report-wise?
Well, injury-wise, we're fine. We've been pretty lucky, and my guys have heard me say it a bunch of times. And it happened one other time when I was the assistant. There was just one guy we couldn't afford to lose. As good as Markey or Craig or Nick Adams are, and as well as they've been playing, if one of them got hurt, we have backups and other people that can play for that. We just don't have someone to step in and do what Steven was doing for us. So he was the one guy we couldn't afford to lose for the style of ball we were playing, and now we're just trying to make do with what we have.
Now, you said Steven got hurt in when you guys were at Texas. Could you maybe explain how your trip to Texas went and how many games you played?
Well, it was a great trip, except for that. It made it. Of course, you want to go down and have a good time, and it's hard not to have a good time when you're on when you're on a beach and it's 81 degrees and you know you're not in Pittsburgh. We were in a great hotel with 4 other guys teams and 16 girls teams, which my guys enjoyed, and
sure
you know, good food. They ran a really nice tournament, good teams to play against, and like I said, we really had a good time. Except one injury really did put a damper on things for us.
Now, let's talk about the newest member in the pack you guys got to play was Thomas More. Played them this past week. You gave them a nice welcome, so to speak, into the pack play for your first game against each other in pack play. You're only 1 point shy of tying the school record, all-time school record for most points scored in a game. The old record was 135, which was back from December 8th, 2004 against Allegheny College. You shot 60% from the field. That had to be that's the highest you've done so far this year. Would you say that was why your team was so successful in this win?
Yeah, we really, you know, we really came out and played well, and you know, Thomas More also struggled not only in just being in our conference new, but they had kind of a key player loss too. They had a senior point guard who had been their point guard for 3.5 years. Had to leave the team about 3 games into the season. So they go from a very experienced senior point guard to a freshman who hadn't played. So, you know, that's tough, and we're kind of dealing with the same sort of thing we're doing. So, you know, they're really struggling, and they're young, and, you know, again, they caught us probably on a bad night when we were shooting the ball so well. And, you know, in the style of ball we play, that's always possible. You know, that outcome's always a possibility.
Now, you were saying before you guys did have a game last night, excuse me, that was at Waynesburg, and I was listening to it on the radio. The first half, maybe not so good. The second half, you guys did good. You played toe-to-toe with them. You lost by 30 points total. You just came off your highest scoring game to one of your lowest. What happened in that first half that kind of made it a bad night?
We turned the ball over. We turned the ball over in key situations, and not only did we turn the ball over and not get shots, but most of the turnovers we had directly ended up in hoops for them. We got a couple guys picked at half court for breakaway layups, threw a few bad passes that ended up in breakaway layups for them. So instead of us even getting a shot, they ended up with shots we couldn't even defend. So you know, it was you know, about 10 minutes left, and it's a 2 or 3 point ball game, and the next thing you know, it just got out of control, and we had, I think, 13 turnovers in the first half. They only had 5, and in the second half, I think the turnovers were totally flipped around, and you know, it was a 51-50 second half. But you know, that's been our problem all year, is just turning the ball over and getting enough shots. And when we don't turn the ball over, we're a pretty good team, and when we do, just like any team in any sport, you're going to struggle.
So the other teams, you come and say, have found a way to beat the circus in almost aspect. Now, if you were coaching against yourself, so to speak, against the style of play that you guys do, what would you do in order to defend it?
Well, I think your biggest thing is that you have to score points. You know, you can't get all caught up in stopping us and not worry about scoring your points. And teams have done a good job in, I don't want to say so much handling our pressure, but you know, again, we've got young kids doing it that aren't as experienced as the kids we've had for the past 2 years. So they're learning, and a lot of the teams we're playing against had young kids those past 2 years, and now they're juniors and seniors and have played against it for a while. And you know, in defending us, you just gotta, you know, and it's tough to do, but you got to get out on our shooters and maybe sometimes give up a few layups that we're going to score in order to defend the 3-point line. But again, it wasn't our threes last night. I think we made 18 of them. It just had to do with the fact that we didn't get enough shots.
Okay. Well, thanks for being on the show, Coach. If you want to see the men's next game, they'll actually be up at Bethany on Saturday. That game will start at 4 p.m. So good luck in your game, Coach. Thanks again for being here.
No problem.
Stay tuned, as we'll have Steve Brink with more Coach's Corner.
Crackhead, drug dealer, gang member, all kicked out of the community with the help of kids
like me.
Me. You can help prevent crime. Call 1-800-722-TEENS to find out how.
It's time we're judged by what we do,
not how we look.
Hi everybody, this is Tim McGraw for RAD, recording artists, actors, and athletes against drunk driving.
You know, I spend a lot of time on the road and I see some funny things out there, but one thing that's not so funny is someone who's about to drive drunk. So take the keys and be a friend, because friends don't let friends drive drunk.
I wasn't going to school because I was making money stealing cars. Well, I was 10 when I first got involved with drugs. I skipped school because, you know, nobody cared.
When I first got pregnant, school was not important to me, so I dropped out.
Well, if I don't finish school, then I can't go to college. I mean, that's the whole point of what I want to do with my life.
I still need to go to school to make it for myself.
I think I'm happier now. I know I'm happier now.
And welcome back to Coach's Corner. I'm your host, Justin Agley, and alongside me is our pack report guy, Steve Brink, and he's just making fun of my beard. Now, for you guys, you notice I'm usually pretty clean-shaved, but this is my playoff beard for the Steelers, so once the Steelers win the Super Bowl, it'll be done, Steve, so don't worry about that.
How do you know they're going to win?
They're going to win, Steve. So, all right, Steve, we're going to get some of your opinions, so to speak, on the pack and on the Westminster's team. In your opinion, who do you see right now as the league's MVPs for both the men's and women's? Not necessarily just on Westminster, but through the whole league. I know Lisa Kalski's been Player of the Week like 4 or 5 times. She's very outstanding. So who do you think?
Yeah, for the women's side, you got to think Lisa Kalski's going to get the award. I think she's won it like 2 or 3 times already. So I mean, she was packed freshman year. She's having a real good year. I mean, she's averaging over 20 points a game. No other player in the pack is averaging that many on the women's side. So you got to look like she's going to win. Most valuable player for the league. On the men's side, it's kind of a toss-up. You figure since Bethany is in first place in the pack, you figure it's going to go to somebody on Bethany, and probably Matt Drehos.
Drehos probably.
Probably either one of the Drehos. I would say Matt. He's having a better year than his brother Mike. But Mark DeMonico's up there as well. He's in that discussion. He's having a solid year. But you figure it's probably going to go on. The award's going to go to somebody on the team that does the best, and Bethany, is right now is on top of the conference. So I would think at this point it's going to be probably Matt Drehos.
Now, freshman-wise, a lot of the teams this year are young teams, and Westminster is proving it this year. Freshman-wise, who do you think is one of the upcoming freshmen that really has risen to the challenge this year?
On the men's side, there's not really a lot of freshmen that are out there and are getting a lot of points and everything. One guy that I would say would have been in that discussion was Steve Bielik, but he got injured obviously, so he's not in that discussion anymore. But on the women's side, I think clearly Amber Bodrick from Teal. Okay. She's having a heck of a season. She was just named Pack Player of the Week. In fact, Coach Scott informed me a couple minutes ago she put up 50 last night against 50 plus last night against Bethany. So she's probably the favorite to win it on the women's side, the Freshman Player of the Year. But on the men's side, it's kind of up in the air right now.
Up in the air still. Okay. Well, for Westminster, who do you think would be the MVPs?
For Westminster, if we look to the men's side, that's tough. I would have to say probably Markey. Markey is having a good season as well. But you got guys like Craig Hannon who's playing really well, and guys like Chauncey Whitlow and Nick Adams who are playing real well as of late. But Mark just does a little bit of everything. He dishes out the ball. He scores a lot of points, obviously. So team MVP right now. Probably be better ask Coach that, but I don't know. But just from what I see, I'm not there in practice every day, obviously. But I would have to say DeMonico. But on the women's side, kind of a toss-up too, because Desiree was hurt for so long. For first month or so of the season, so she was out, and it took her kind of a while to get back and get into the swing of things. But Emily Ackerman's having a big season for the women's team, and Therese Marzalek, even though she was hurt for a while, she's having a good season too. So that would kind of be up in the air, the MVP for.
All right, real quick, got to be real quick answer. Who do you think is going to win it all, men's, women's?
You hate to you want to go with Westminster, but they both struggled this year. But I'd have to say Bethany on the men and W&J on the women's side.
All right, thanks. Well, that's been Coach's Corner for today. Please stay tuned as County Line is up next. I'm Justin Agley. Thanks for tuning in.